3 people sat in that chair. 3 people stared into the Babel Image Archive. Only one body was ever recovered. And when they found her, she was not lying there alone. I watched all 3 of them go in. I'm the only one who can tell you what came out. I just needed a thesis advisor. That is all this was supposed to be. Dr. Kushner had a name in the department and not a good one. Short-tempered, cutthroat, the kind of professor other grad students warned you about over cold coffee in the break room. Voices dropped low like he might hear through the walls. His office smelled like old paper and burnt coffee. Blinds always drawn even at noon. The one time I sat across from him, he did not look up from his monitor for the first 4 minutes of the meeting. But his publication list ran longer than half the papers I had actually managed to read cover to cover. Brilliant, if nothing else. And honestly, I figured if I picked something small enough, something contained, I would not have to spend much time in a room with the man at all. That part did not work out the way I planned. After I burned through a few dead-end pitches he shot down without looking up, he finally handed me a project. Something a former student named Amanda had picked up and then dropped, half-documented, notes scattered across a folder she clearly had not touched in months. It was a study on how people perceive meaningless static images, and it used something I had never once heard of in 4 years of coursework. The Babel Image Archive. Here is the idea stripped down. Picture a canvas, a fixed pixel grid, a fixed color range, generating every possible arrangement those pixels could ever take using seeded numbers. If you have ever messed around with procedurally generated game worlds, you already understand the mechanics. In theory, buried somewhere in that endless churn of combinations is every image that could ever exist. The day you were born. The day you will die. The Big Bang from every angle, every scale, rendered in perfect accidental detail. The problem is the scale of it. Finding one coherent image by chance is so astronomically unlikely that, for all practical purposes, all you ever get is noise. Colorful, meaningless static, cycling forever. Which is exactly what Amanda had used it for. Her notes were careful. Almost obsessive, actually. Dated entries with times down to the minute, margins filled with cramped handwriting she had clearly gone back and added later. She had booked a room on campus fitted with a one-way mirror, meant for exactly this kind of observation. Bare walls. A single door with no window in it. Projector, chair, speakers pumping white noise overhead, low and constant, the kind of hum you stop noticing after 10 minutes and then cannot stop noticing again once someone points it out. The subject sits down, the images cycle every few seconds, and they talk out loud about whatever they think they are seeing. A lapel mic feeds it all back to whoever is watching from the other side of the glass. Us, in a cramped little room lit only by a desk lamp and the glow of the projector bleeding through the mirror. The logic was borrowed from older tricks, where people used to stare at blank paper taped over their eyes or lose themselves in television static for hours, chasing some kind of hallucinated high. She only ran one participant before a better-funded project pulled her away. A 24-year-old man. First half hour, completely unremarkable. Then, partway through the second slideshow, he just stopped talking. Sat there whistling to himself, calm as anything. When she radioed in to ask what was wrong, he told her, flatly, that she had never turned the slideshow back on. She checked. Her lab partner checked. They walked into the room themselves and checked the projector with their own eyes. It had been running the entire time. Nobody ever got a straight answer out of him. I read that page of her notes maybe 6 times in a row before I understood. I was not going to be able to leave this alone. We lined up 3 subjects for the first real trial. A 19-year-old woman. A 21-year-old man. A 39-year-old man. I will call them 1, 2, and 3. That is how the file still reads. 1. Kaylee partnered with me for this round. We made a point of not staring too long at the subject room, just in case whatever this thing did could somehow reach back through the glass at us too. Better to keep our heads down. Kaylee used the downtime to grind through her own coursework, pen scratching quietly beside me while I kept watch. 1 was soft-spoken, a little jittery, the kind of person who laughs before she finishes her own sentence. For the first 30 minutes, nothing at all. Just white noise humming overhead and colored static flickering across the projector screen, the room lit only by that shifting glow, her face washed in blue, then red, then a sick greenish yellow. Then the naming started. A smiley face, an apple, a puppy, a fly. Simple things said in a simple, distracted tone, her voice flat under the hiss of the speakers. As the minutes stacked up, the words stayed short but the things she named got stranger. Harder to wave off as some abstract blob of pixels your brain decided to shape into something familiar. Every time she spotted something new, she lit up a little more. There was something strangely contagious about it, watching a person build an entire world out of scraps of nothing. After the 5-minute break, it sped up fast. Green gecko. Blue and black rose. I caught myself staring at her too long, genuinely fascinated, before I forced my eyes back down to my notes. Pace, right, right up until the last stretch of the session. 2 women researching, she said. I looked up. Nothing but colored noise on the screen. But she was smiling. A thin smile, and it kept growing. 2 women researching. I looked up again and nearly went straight out of my chair. Her palms were flat against the one-way mirror, fingers spread wide against the glass. Her face, too, pressed close enough to fog it, her whole body leaning into the surface with a wide, open-mouthed smile, like she had just found something wonderful. Her eyes were red, dry, blinking far less than they should have. I could hear her breath fogging and clearing against the glass in short little bursts. Kaylee had gone the color of paper beside me, pen frozen mid-word on the page. Ma'am, please sit back down until the test is finished. I shouted into the intercom louder than I meant to. She blinked, jumped a little like she had woken up somewhere she did not recognize, walked back to the chair without a word and sat. She did not speak again for the rest of the session, and something about her whole posture had changed. Gone quiet in a way that did not match how she had started. Afterward, she apologized over and over, hands pressed to her chest. Said she had no memory of standing up, but somehow it also felt obvious that she had, because she had been there, had she not? Whatever that was supposed to mean. She remembered almost everything she had seen on the slides, even the later ones, in strange, specific detail. Kaylee grabbed both my shoulders. The second one walked out the door. What the hell was that? I don't know, I said. But I've never seen anything like it in my life. And you're happy about that? Kushner's gonna love this. She looked right at us through a one-way mirror. What did you show her? I told her it was just static, that it probably triggered some old memory, that in some half-conscious state she had wandered toward wherever her body knew we were sitting. Kaylee did not buy a word of it. If I am honest, neither did I. But strange was the whole reason I had gotten into this field in the first place. When I brought the notes to Kushner, I expected him to shrug it off the way he shrugged off everything. Instead, he smiled. First time I had ever seen it happen. His usual sourness just was not there. He made a few calls that same afternoon and got me subject to. Kaylee was out by then, no explanation given, none asked for. I called in a favor from Diego instead, who owed me one after I ghostwrote an entire semester of homework so he could chase some girl from out of state. 2 seemed bored from the moment he sat down. Slouched low in the chair, one leg bouncing like he was waiting on a bus rather than sitting in a windowless room full of static. Like he was only here for the credit hours or the cash Kushner had dangled in front of him. 15 minutes of dead silence, nothing but the speaker hiss and the soft click of the projector cycling through slides, before he finally opened his mouth. Cow? Sheep maybe? Something like that. Nothing dramatic. I wrote it down, kept half an eye on him through the glass, and got nothing else for a long stretch. No spark, no escalation like one had shown. Diego suggested I prompt him a little, keep the questions coming so the data did not just sit blank on the page. So I did. Box. Some lines. Weird pattern, I guess. Then a laugh. Small, almost swallowed. Something funny? I asked. No, it's just what you said. I had not said anything at all. He laughed again, harder this time, and would not explain what he meant no matter how many times I asked. Diego shot me a look across the room and I gave him nothing back but a shrug because I had nothing to give. A few slides later, straight lines? Yeah, okay, more detail, I get it. Parallel maybe? Shooting stars? Diego rolled his chair toward mine, voice dropped to a whisper, hands shaking slightly. Stop the slideshow. It'll wreck the data. The data's already wrecked. Look at him, he's talking to himself. He's talking to me, I said. I'm just not talking back. 2 started laughing again, louder this time, almost choking on it, the sound bouncing off the bare walls in a way that made the whole room feel smaller than it was. Who's making you laugh? I asked, throat gone tight. The guy next. He could not finish. Laughing too hard to get the words out. Diego and I bolted for the hallway. It could not have taken more than 10 seconds to cross into the observation room, but by the time we threw the door open, the whole scene had flipped. The projector had been ripped clean out of its ceiling mount, cord dangling, chair knocked over on its side. 2 was folded into the corner. Not laughing anymore. Sobbing, rocking slightly, knees pulled to his chest. Is it over? He managed to get out. Yes, I said. You're free to go. He crawled out on hands and knees and shuffled toward the exit without looking at either of us. Diego did not say a word to me for a full week. When I finally tried to bring it up, he told me, flat and final, never to bring it up again. I handed my notes over to Kushner, half expecting him to shut the whole project down on the spot. Instead, he smiled again, said he was disappointed I had not interviewed 2 afterward, and told me I could start with 3 right away, no delay needed. Sir, with respect, nobody in the department will partner with me on this anymore. Nonsense, Kushner said. You don't need a partner. Just tell them I was there. I'll corroborate it. That last line did not land like a question at all. 3 was older than the other 2. Warm in a way that felt almost fatherly, rosy cheeks, a round face, the kind of gentle smile that put people at ease without trying, hands folded neatly in his lap while he waited. He did not fully grasp what the archive even was when I explained it, nodding along more out of politeness than understanding, the way you nod at a doctor using words you do not recognize. Did not matter. He sat down anyway, adjusted the lapel mic himself, and settled in like a man about to watch a movie he had already decided he would enjoy. Kushner wanted the session stretched to 3 full hours this time, breaks every 60 minutes. I thought it was excessive. I did it anyway. It took a while before anything happened. Words, 3 said. What do they say? I asked, leaning forward. Can't read them. More words. His voice had sharpened now, frustrated. Not in English. Like he had been trying and failing over and over, and the failing had started to wear on him. More words, he said again, teeth clenched together. Sir, if you could describe what the words look. Can it? His voice had dropped an octave, gone guttural in a way that did not match the man who had walked in an hour earlier. I should have stopped the session right there. I did not. During the break, he sat in total silence, jaw tight, breathing loud through his nose. I did not dare walk into the room to check on him. When the second half started, he leaned forward like something on the screen was physically pulling him toward it. Half an hour passed. When I looked back up, his head was tracking slowly across the projector, eyes moving left to right like he was reading a page of text. Even when the slide changed to something else entirely, his eyes kept moving the same way, reading something that was not there anymore. Mom, he said. Small. Almost sad. Then he recoiled hard, like the image had twisted into something monstrous in front of him. Who did this to you? He stood up out of the chair. Who did this to you? Loud enough that I heard it clean through the wall separating us. I killed the slideshow immediately. His neck snapped toward the mirror like he had heard the switch flip. Was it you? He threw the chair. It hit the glass hard enough to shatter the whole connecting wall, and I am still not sure how it did not come through. Then he ran for the door. I got the lock turned maybe half a second before the handle started rattling. My phone was nearly dead. I had started dialing 911 before the screen went dark completely, the battery giving out at the worst possible second. I sat there in the dark with a man on the other side of a hollow door, a man who had apparently seen something he was never meant to see, and I prayed. Had not done that in years. Did not feel like a choice at that point. An hour, maybe longer, though I lost any real sense of time somewhere around the 20-minute mark. No footsteps. No breathing I could make out. Nothing at all, just the sound of my own pulse in my ears and the faint tick of the building settling around me. I pressed my ear flat against the door, cold wood against my skin. Silence. The kind that makes you doubt your own hearing. It was a Friday. Nobody would set foot in that building again until Monday morning. I did not have another option. I opened the door slow, quiet, every hinge creak sounding like a gunshot in my ears. Empty hallway both directions. I started walking toward the exit, ready to bolt the second I heard anything out of place. Then I heard it, coming from a cleaning closet left slightly ajar down the hall. Crying, wet, open sobbing, mixed underneath with something I could not quite place, something wrong. I still do not know why I opened that door. Sympathy, maybe, for a man who had just seen something hellish. Guilt, or maybe the same curiosity that put us all here to begin with. 3 was sitting on the floor of the closet in a small, dark pool of his own blood, a pair of pliers gripped tight in one hand, the metallic smell of it thick enough to catch in the back of my throat. His jaw hung unhinged, wrong, bent at an angle that should not have been possible for a human body. He lined the pliers up against a tooth, tightened his grip, and pulled slow until it gave loose with a wet crack that I still hear some nights. He did not scream, just whimpered low and steady, until he looked up and saw me standing there. I woke up outside on a bench, blunt trauma to the skull, a scar I will carry the rest of my life. But I am alive, and he could have easily made sure I was not. Maybe he should have. Kushner buried the whole thing quietly, the way he buries everything. I am telling you this because someone needs to know what happened to these 3 people. Even if there is nothing left to do about it now, you cannot get justice for them, but you can protect yourself. Don't ever look into the Babel Image Archive. They never found 3. They never found 2. But they found 1. Her body was right next to Kaylee's.